Episode of The Wind Down. Today we will be unpacking Low-Key Losing It with the delightful Natasha Rothwell, who plays one of Issa's BFFs, Kelly.
Hey, Natasha.
Hey, girl.
What up?
You know I'm here drinking rosé talking about the show.
So we got a lot of insight into the new friendship now that Tiffany's child is born. And we talked about in the room how important it was for us to highlight the issues of childbirth, especially amongst Black women.
Yeah. One of the things we talked about even outside of childbirth as well is just like women's issues in hospitals being taken seriously. How we have to get second and third opinions to be taken seriously. And so,
about how they don't believe
our
actual pain. Yeah.
And so I thought it was like really cool using Tiffany's storyline this episode to sort of speak to that.
With Tiffany, it allows, because she's married, because she has a child now, it allows us to talk about issues that the other three women sort of can't talk about, you know?
And it is just a common issue. Yeah. It's not, you think about it happening only to people that you don't know, that seem far away, but these aren't isolated incidents, so it's just important for awareness.
So usually our show is pretty adult.
Yes.
But what was it like to work with an actual baby in this episode?
It was wild. I wanted to make sure that baby was okay first because there was a lot happening that day. Like the space we shot was very small. We were pressed for time.
Yeah.
Also, the mom or the parents are right there watching your episode.
Yeah.
So the parents are right there, and then there's also like the parents have like baby handlers, so they're like 4 people looking out for the baby, and no one looking out for no one looking out for me. What about me? But this was just like, it was really sweet to sort of have that energy and see how it affected the other cast members. There's something very real that I think this episode does. We see how motherhood is affecting Tiffany, but also when your friend has a child, it changes your relationship to that friend.
Mm-hmm. So I remember last season, obviously, when we've been building up to this distance between Tiffany and Kelly. How far do you think Kelly and Tiffany have come since the baby shower?
I think they've reconciled. I don't think there's any animosity, but I do think that Kelly might feel like she has something to prove as far as, like she can be there for Tiffany. And so in a world where Tiffany sort of preferred her other friends to throw the baby shower, I feel like Kelly's trying to prove her worth and doesn't want to lose her friend to motherhood, which means that they're still in the circle, but they won't be going out late or like, we have to see a matinee instead of an evening movie, that kind of thing. And so I think Kelly doesn't want that to change.
The episode ends on a kind of a big divide, right? Between Issa asking for a favor and Molly basically saying like, no. Does Issa feel betrayed that her, quote unquote best friend doesn't come through for her in her time of need?
Of course. I think hurt, betrayed, confused, Molly holds her down. And I think to the extent of Issa maybe taking that for granted, she knows that Molly's busy. She knows that Molly wants this relationship to work, but I think Issa just has tunnel vision specifically when it comes to this block party. It has to succeed. And so in Molly denying her help, it's like she's essentially rooting for Issa to fail, at least in Issa's mind, of just, I'm not going to sacrifice this relationship that I've been trying to maintain to help you with this little thing that might not work in the first place because you have a history of not having things work. So, and I think that's just, for Issa, that's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Given Molly's choices in this episode, what do you guys do when your best friend chooses their significant other over your relationship?
Oof. This is going to sound like hyperbole, but you do have to grieve the friendship that you had. Because if you kind of hold on to that, you're constantly holding that idea of friendship as like a ruler to every interaction you have, and they will always fall short because they have fundamentally changed. And so I'm consistent, like I haven't changed. I'm still single, no.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Wind Down. Stay tuned for a new episode next week.